Welcome to my Codesys template video. To start off, we'll create a standard project and let it populate. First thing we'll do is create a global variable list. Call it main. I like to name them because inevitably they get so large that I want to categorize them, and Codesys is nice enough, it lets you declare multiple global variable lists. Let's have one variable at the end called start scan. And let's have that be a boolean, so that's 1 bit in memory, and let's set it to true. Let's create our start scan function or program. Start scan structured text. I'm going to change this actually to first scan. I like that better. You can call it whatever you want, but I like the sound of that better. So we're going to go if first scan, then we're going to do all the stuff that's inside here, and then we're going to set first scan equal to 0 or false. Init logic. I don't have to type that much, but yes, that's what. Okay, so we're getting this error because this attribute is, you can comment that attribute out and basically it'll work because you don't have to type in GVL every time. GVL main dot, first scan. Otherwise you'd have to type in that, and I just find it more convenient not to. Let's add first scan to main task as the first thing that happens. One thing the template has got to have is some global constants. There we go. And I like to use caps for these. And let's just enter in pi for now. Pi is treated like a real number, and it's equal to what? 3.1415. Yes. Next thing I like to do is add a persistent variable list. Change the name to persists just to make it shorter and have it easier to work with. And these retain their value after a power cycle. Depending on your controller, these variables are on a different chip. All right, and let's declare a bool called once and only once and set it to true. Then we'll go back into start scan, and we'll go if once and only once, then do all this stuff. I keep the attribute qualified only on this persists list, just because they're special and it'll let me know easier when I'm working with them. False. I'm going to show you now how to enter a timer into Codesys. Start TON is going to be a TON, timer on. And what you do once it's declared is I'll go down here and hit F2. So hit F2, hit instance calls. There's the start timer, insert with arguments. There it is, bam. I'm going to set that to true. Set this to 2 seconds. Syntax is T star 2S. And so after it times out, if start ton.q is set, and we need another bit here. So I'm going to go start bit, and that's a boolean. And here in first scan, after first scan is done, let's set start bit to true, right? And here at the, okay, start bit's true. Once this is set and start bit is true, so and start bit, right? Then do all this stuff. And at the end of it, set start bit to false. And so what this does is this executes code 2 seconds after the system starts up, and I use this for bus items. Init for bus items. Because a lot of times sensors you have plugged into the PLC will take longer to initialize than the variables in memory. We have three things in our start sequence: once and only once, first scan, and then basically your start timer. So we have a piece of logic that will initialize once and only once. So this whatever's in between this if statement will execute upon the first startup, and that's it. So that'll only execute the first time you load the software. First scan init logic that executes every power cycle, and then your bus items. So what you use these for? So a good example is I once had a machine that required in the software for the software to basically come up with a metric for ambient temperature. So what I had to do was I had to average all the temperature sensors attached to it on the start scan. However, first scan would execute much before this bus was initialized, so I would get zeros. So if you want to do something like a calculated temperature, like an ambient temperature or some kind of, maybe you want to average a bunch of sensors to start out with, put it here.